School District of Amery regular board meeting. Okay, we are now in session for the regular board meeting of the School District of Amery. Okay, starting with the, I'll call the meeting to order, and we will start with the consent agenda items. Who has the consent agenda items?
Well, I looked over the board vouchers, so I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second that.
Second. I think you need me. I think you're
Just that much.
just that much.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that motion to approve consent agenda items passes.
That's why I said that.
Any community comments? Is there anyone signed up for community comments? All right. All right, now we'll move on to the administrative reports, and I'll turn that over to Mr. Gupta.
Okay, just have a couple things to mention to the board. One, I received a letter from Mayor Paul Isaacson dated September 11th. He is inviting board members and myself to participate, and other interested administrators or people from the organization for a strategic planning meeting on Tuesday, October 16th at 9 o'clock a.m. in the Amery Community Center. Apparently the city is interested in stakeholders being involved in this strategic planning process by a group that's been hired by the city. So for your information. And also the school district a couple years ago bought a Chevy Volt car, a hybrid electric and gas car, and that car we're trading it in. There have been some problems with the battery recharging system, and we're looking to trade it in. So I just wanted to mention for the board's information, there's a 2018 car with just under 18,000 miles. It's a good deal, and I gave authority for Tom Olson, Transportation Director, to trade in the Volt for $9,000 on a trade-in value to Amery Chev for a Chevy Impala that the district will be purchasing. Aside from that, I just wanted to mention to the board that following last month's presentation by Lisa Voisin, financial advisor for the district from Baird Incorporated, the district will continue to move forward looking at options for the future, for the near future, and further into the future for financing for buildings and looking at addressing the needs, facilities, I should say a long-range facilities plan, and what our options may be in the next year or two for facilities and financing for the district. I will report back to the board further information, and we'll move on from there. Other administrators?
I can certainly go ahead. We are on the, I'll say it this way, the right side of homecoming now. It's done. Little recap on how successful it was. We did a few new things this year, including a K-12 Pep Fest, and we now know how long it takes to put 1,500 kids in the bleachers, K-12, in the 85-degree heat and humidity. It was pretty crazy. But I can speak for the Durfler boys, and their favorite part was seeing the high school kids. They were very excited. We made good use of the Stour Trail because we ran our football back. Only 5 miles of that was on the roads, and 13 miles of that was on the trail. And that's as safe as it can be unless you get run down by a deer, I guess. But that didn't occur. We had a very successful Wednesday evening of last week. We did powder puff football under the lights. That's never been done before. I don't know if it improved the quality of play, but we were in fancy fashion being out on the field. And then we followed that up with a successful bonfire where we gathered up some wood and lit it on fire, which makes the guys happy typically. And then we capped it off with a victory, a very exciting victory at that on Friday evening with a goal line stand with some 2 seconds left. We heard Shar yelling from the first row. I did. I was on the Osceola side chaperoning, and holy cow, I'm like, Shar is really getting after it. So it was
Somebody
awesome.
had to coach them boys up.
Yeah, well, you
Get in
were.
that game.
You were. And then we had 251 kids at the dance. So we had, well, by the math, more than 50% of our kids at the dance. Many folks have said, why did you put it on the same week as Fall Festival? Here's the reason. So everyone knows we had 4 home games this year. We've played 3. We got 1 left. 2 of them were in August. It's tough to do homecoming in August because our kids aren't here yet, and the band hasn't had a chance to rehearse. Then the homecoming game, which happened to fall the same Friday as homecoming or Fall Festival Friday, and then our last home game is a 3-day school week. And to pack our homecoming activities into 3 days is going to be a tough task and would sell the kids short. So that's just the way the schedule shook out. And we always know where Fall Fest is. That's been the same for forever and ever. So
69.
yeah, there you go. We're putting together our schedule for next year, and we'll see where we lie. But it was a rather successful weekend and involved the whole district, so it was fun.
All right, at the middle school, we have a lot of really cool things coming up. In this coming month, we're going to be training peer mediators, how to handle solutions and solve some problems for some of the minor problems that we think we can bring to them, and they help students write a contract on how they're going to peacefully mediate out their problem. District-wide, we have DI sign-up coming up on October 8th, and that's a really great program. I'm excited for that. In 2 days, we take our students out for a student leadership team training, and they're going to come back and then help design events for our school and to help solve school problems. So there's a lot of things going on there. And next week we have the 8th grade anti-bullying WAPO trip, and that's a time where we bring the entire 8th grade out and they work on kind of a character building day and a team building day and a unification day. And then they come back and students have planned an anti-bullying presentation. It involves a mural that's painted for their class by Paul Oman. Somehow on the same day, we have a 7th grade field trip that's going to St. Croix Falls to the Fish Hatchery and the hydroelectric dam. That means 6th grade's going to have run of the school by themselves. That should be interesting. We have parent-teacher conferences coming up soon between all of our, well, on the 4th, I think it's the first. On the 1st, we have it in, from 4 to 8, and that's grades pre-K through, or K through 8, and then we have a district-wide from 1 to 8 on the 4th. And finally, we just had a really, really neat activity today in in-service. So even though the kids were at home, we had in-service and all our teachers met. We started the day off at 8 o'clock, and we watched the movie Screenagers. And it was, brought into us, and we found a really interesting way to kind of play this out. Every staff member saw it, and then we broke into groups, and we processed what we saw and how we think that the students' use of screen time and the amount of time they're on cell phones or video games inside, and the amount of time that they're on computers in school too, as well as out of school, and what are the things that we can do with our students, and to try to plan ahead for that. And then next Monday, we'll be bringing students from grades 6 through 12 to see the film also. It's a little bit shorter version, and some things are edited out. And then in the evening on the 24th, so next week, we'll have a parent viewing and a community viewing. And then we'll have a panel discussion there to kind of talk about that issue. So I want to thank all the committee that really worked hard on that, and Brooke Whitley from the county who really spearheaded it too. I know Kate Weisenbeck was heavily involved, and Katie Johnson, and I don't want to short-shoot anyone, but there were quite a few people. But I heard a lot of really good things. What I like when I get out of an in-service and the staff came up and said that was a really, really good use of time, and that makes you feel good that we hit it on the spot. So that was great. And then we had other things that every building was kind of doing things different in the afternoon. But I want to thank all the staff for coming in and working really hard today.
Thanks, Tom. 2 things. One is a review from last week. Last Monday, we had our 9/11 service. Tom and I host that. It is out in front of this building, and every year it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't get old. It's very powerful. The kids, their behavior is just amazing, and so it's so fun to bring the community together. And just it's 30 minutes. We're in and out really quick. but it's just a super nice tribute to 9/11. So that went very well. And then this afternoon, Tom talked about this morning, which was also wonderful, but this afternoon, Cheryl and I had a company come in. We're looking at 2 different companies for math. We've taken 2 years to study our math program. We had a presentation back about 2.5 weeks ago, and then now today we had our second one, Houghton Mifflin. It was very good. The teachers were quite impressed by the program. So it's nice to be able to have this time to bring in those outside professionals to help us with those big decisions.
I want to piggyback a little bit on what Tom said on screenagers. It really referenced not only children but adults on their different devices, and it really is eye-opening. So I would highly encourage it for all families to attend the showing that is free, and it is very captivating. We were in there for an hour and a half, and you could have heard a pin drop. It was fabulous. So I just wanted to reinforce what Tom said. Next week, on Thursday, September 27th, is a big family day for us. We have our annual family math night, which is an opportunity for families to come together and spend time with their children and do math activities, brain teasers, problem solving, just a lot of fun activities that are math related. And then in the morning, we have our first annual Parents as Partners meeting, which is a parents advisory committee that works with me as the building principal, and it's a wonderful opportunity for families, parents, grandparents to give feedback on our school and to also learn a little bit about who we are as a school district. So that's September 27th.
Is special education-wise, coinciding with parent conferences on October 4th, we have Child Development Days that are upcoming. That is the district's child find effort, or at least one, the main one. We'll look and see what results we get in terms of engagement with the community and how many students we're able to see that night, and look to see if there's a need for another one in the future at the library. This is the first time in many years, as I understand, that it's been at the elementary school. We're kind of coming back to trying to get some synergy and catch parents as they're coming through the door to conferences, and we'll see how that works. So mark your calendars for that. It's on our district calendar. Also like to highlight some of our PLC work through special education. We've got groups working on transition from high school to post-secondary outcomes. We've got a group working on visual supports for students in the classroom, as well as anywhere they're in need, whether it's recess or whether it's in the hallway, any of those unstructured places. A PLC group is piloting a visual supports program called Lesson Picks. We've got about 10 licenses right now, and we're part of this group is going to be to use that support and give some feedback, and depending on how they feel, we'll move forward with perhaps branching that out into some other classrooms. We've got another group working on curriculum and assessment for students with intellectual disabilities, and as well as the Read 180 curriculum. We're piloting Read 180 Universal. So that's been a little bit of a curveball for some of the professional development. Anytime that you change what you're doing, we go through some growing pains, and we work with the company in order to make sure that our professional development is happening, that our curriculum, we're getting what we've ordered. And so we're certainly working through those scenarios, and I'm glad that we've got a great group that's giving us feedback in that process. And finally, I'd like to just say thank you to Mr. Benson. I attended the middle school staff meeting the other day. I saw that Annie Banky had highlighted a unified sports program or an idea for some inclusive practices happening at the middle school, whereby students with disabilities are partnered with students in general education programs and a physical educator in order to just create some positive scenarios for both kids with disabilities and kids without. So I thought it was a great presentation and just wanted to highlight Mr. Benson's effort for putting that up and highlighting some inclusive practices in the district and at his school. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to add, as part of my administrative report, just a thank you to our administrative team for the great work that they do, arranging and promoting the Screenagers program. We had a number of staff who attended last year at another district, and this program was brought back along with Brooke Whitley, who helped to coordinate it, and Tracy Hendrickson and our pupil services staff. So it was a great program for us. And I know the board already approved minutes from the last couple meetings, but I just wanted to mention that our board had 3 meetings in August, and their commitment and dedication is astounding. And the minutes are approved and they are on the school website. But just to highlight the August 30th school board meeting, it was about 2.5 hours nearly that the board had met, and they met with Bob Butler, attorney, and Associate Executive Director for Wisconsin Association of School Boards. And some of the information is included in these minutes, and it states the topics that he had discussed with our board. And I think it's important for the public to know the presentation that was given, and our board members took the information in regarding roles of the board, individual members and administrators, how boards exercise statutory powers and duties, what boards do, board action versus individual board member, access to information, conflicts of interest, public records, and liability and risk management. So that was an excellent in-service that our school board was given by, again, attorney Bob Butler, who's a well-renowned attorney throughout the state on school legal matters. So thank you to our board.
Okay, there aren't any informational items, so it looks like we'll move on to the action items, which is a presentation by Cheryl Meyer for the Montessori program.
And actually, this is the presentation that Ms. Meyer gave last month. If
Yes.
there's anything she'd like to add or
I thought that
question.
looked really
Yeah.
It was on the agenda.
So you paid attention last month.
I must have,
Thanks,
yeah.
Dale. Thank you.
Well, the information was presented by Ms. Meyer, and we had said we would give the information to the board, allow them to digest it and take into consideration. So if Ms. Meyer would like to recap the request, I guess.
This is a great
recommendation.
slide to look at. So basically, it's just a reminder that we would like to expand the program to include our third grade friends, which is part of the lower elementary plane of development, first, second, and third. In September, we would be sending a letter home to families, just letting them know that if you do indeed approve this, that we will be expanding the Montessori program to include our third graders. That would happen in September in preparation for parent-teacher conferences. Families would complete a form at parent-teacher conferences regarding expansion. They would also be notified that in November we will schedule a parent informational session for those families that would like to have questions that they would like to have addressed. And then in January, we will be asking families to indicate whether or not they are interested in having their children participate in the third grade program so that we can continue with the training and certification that takes place.
One thing I will mention to the board is that along with the Montessori expansion, we also have doors bursting open for Clubhouse because they're so full. We're turning away students. We're full until next June. So as we have program expansion, we have to take into consideration the potential for expanded space needs as well. So just something for your information.
I'll make the motion that we approve the Montessori program expansion.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion to expand the Montessori, the motion to expand Montessori is approved.
Thank you.
I believe that is it for the annual board meeting, so I will,
We'll go right to personnel action. There's no reason not to.
oh, okay.
So we have 4 positions here that actually people that have been hired, this is more of a report out than necessarily permission from the board, because these are new hires, contracts and letters of intent have been issued, so for your information for the board.
Is he the older or younger?
So we don't need to make a motion on it?
Technically, no action is
Okay.
required.
Okay, so that's it for action items. And now I'll take a motion to go into closed session to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility in order to take personnel action pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, sub 1, sub C.
Move to closed session as stated by you, Chelsea.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
You don't want to do a roll call on that? Sorry.
I was going to do roll call after opposed. All right, roll call. Aaron?
Yes.
Yar?
Yes.
Yes. All right, we're now in, meeting's adjourned, and we are now in closed session.